Good morning. Thanks for coming. So let's chant the opening chant together. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinapatitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Supreme Spirit protect us. May the Supreme Spirit nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Good morning and thanks for coming in this inclement weather. At least we need a few audience to talk to, so you are here. So, subject of my today's talk is 7 big questions. And as you know, most of you know that for quite some time we are trying to understand Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, which has got many layers of meaning, and we are trying to understand. And most importantly, we are trying to understand its themes. Instead of going verse by verse, we are trying to see that how the Bhagavad Gita is unfolding in a thematic way. So we have completed 7 chapters so far. And we have learned a lot. As we saw, just to give a very brief overview, that first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, there are mainly 3 themes. Atma Sarupam, what is our true nature? Second is self-effort, Purusha Prayatna. Sri Krishna emphasizes this to Arjuna that you have to take charge of your future. So do karma yoga the way you do, or do your dharma, that duty, that responsibility that you are now entrusted with, Purusha Prayatna. And third was the spiritual practice that was mainly emphasized in the first 6 chapters are karma yoga. So we see from 2nd chapter, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, now and then the question of karma yoga comes. But from 7th chapter onwards, from 7 to 12, these 6 chapters, the themes change. Here, the main 3 themes are Ishvara Sarupa. What is the nature of God? Trying to understand God. In the first 6 chapters, we tried to understand who we are. These next 6 chapters, Sri Krishna in different chapters, throughout the 6 chapters, will now and then speak about nature of God. Who is God? Second one is Ishara Anugraha. That is, self-effort is undoubtedly important, but also what is important in spiritual life for spiritual growth is divine grace. As I say often, that you have heard several times probably, that spiritual growth or spiritual journey is like climbing a hill. And in earlier days, when we see that when the trains, especially when there was no electric train, mostly diesel powered or coal powered train, when the journey was uphill, they needed two engines. One engine at the front and one for pulling and another at the back for pushing. So true spiritual growth is also takes by inch, which is really an uphill task. So we need both engines, our self-effort to pull us and divine grace to push. And this divine grace comes in different ways. In fact, 2 days ago, while studying Narada Bhakti Sutra, we saw that how divine grace comes on us in different ways. Even we may not recognize it was divine grace. So this is the second theme for the next 6 chapters, Ishvara Anugraha, divine grace. And the third one is Sharanagati. Main is surrender to God. Surrender to God through upasana, that is how to worship God and ultimately surrender oneself. So these are the 3 main themes that will be running from chapter 7 to chapter 12. And at last we shall see in the last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna would try to reconcile all these 2 things. That is your own sarupa, your own nature that was discussed in the first part, and God's nature which was discussed in the second part. They are ultimately one and the same thing, which we encounter again and again in the Upanishads, the Mahavakyas, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that ultimate consciousness. So that we shall see in due course. So in 7th chapter, when Sri Krishna introduced 7th chapter, he spoke about 2 types of devotion, Sakama Bhakti and Nishkama Bhakti. Devotion with some material ends in view. Either it is for wealth or for rescue, save me from this, or help me, God help me from this, or even just a curiosity, who is God? And coming to God with all these motives, all are good. Coming to God anyway is good. All these come under Sakama Bhakti, that is devotion with finite goals. And Sri Krishna then spoke about devotion with infinite goals in mind, that is seeking God for God's sake. And as we saw that this is a progress in our life. We come to God at first for seeking something, or for asking for rescue, or when we are in trouble. Sri Krishna says all are good, but if we hold on to the path, gradually the motive of our devotion will be nishkama, desireless. So nishkama, and Sri Krishna promised that a nishkama bhakta, one who adores God for God's sake alone, they come to know God in totality, which he promised at the beginning of the seventh chapter, that one who comes to me ultimately comes to know God in his totality. And towards the end of the chapter, he says the same thing, that who comes to God for having God only as their goal, at the end they come to know of God in totality. And this totality, mysteriously, Sri Krishna expressed in 6 technical terms. Suddenly, Sri Krishna speaks that when such a bhakta comes to me, they ultimately comes to know about these six things. Suddenly we see that six technical terms. And also he says that such a bhakta also remembers me at the time of their death. So these six technical terms naturally evokes questions in Arjuna's mind. Six technical terms and 7 questions related to them. And the 7th one, that is how to remember God at the time of death, that is the 8th question of Arjuna. Today we shall take up these first 7 questions that Arjuna asks and Sri Krishna answers. And as we shall see that these 7 questions, rather answer to these 7 questions, answers all the fundamental questions that we have. That is the big questions: who we are, what is our goal, who is God, what is this world, what is my connection with this world, what I am going to do with my life, and where to seek God. Is there a cosmic mind? All the questions that come to our mind are answered by Sri Krishna when Arjuna asks these 7 questions. So let's proceed. And interestingly, if we understand these 6 technical terms that Sri Krishna will explain now, we will understand entire Vedanta. We may say Vedanta in a nutshell. Vedanta 101. Answer to these 7 questions are Vedanta 101. And that is what we see. When we shall see the answers, we shall see that all of these are probably known to us. But Sri Krishna sometimes adds some very meaningful or profound words here and there, which we did not think earlier. While answering the questions, he adds 1 or 2 epithets or some profound meanings to these words. So that is a new way of knowing what we already know. And this is a recurring theme in the Bhagavad Gita, that the main tenets of Vedanta are repeated. Whenever Sri Krishna gets a chance, he repeats the main tenets. It is said that in our day-to-day communication, repetition should be avoided. Repetition is a bad thing. It's a fault if we speak the same thing again and again. But Shastre Punarakti na doshaye. In scriptures, in spiritual text, repetition is not a fault. They have that liberty of repeating again and again, because these are abstract concepts difficult for us to grasp. So repetition probably makes it easier for us to grasp and, more importantly, remember in our day-to-day life. With this, let us see what are the questions. Arjuna Uvacha. The 8th chapter starts with Arjuna's 2 questions in 2 verses. He asks, Kim tad brahma kim adhatmam kim karma purushottama adibhutam cha kim proktam adidaivam kim uchyate. The first question is, Kim tad brahma? What is Brahma? You said at the end of 7th chapter, you mentioned the term Brahma. What is Brahman? Is it the same Brahman we know? Then Kim Adhatmam. What is Adhatma? Because Sri Krishna said all these terms, and we need not be overwhelmed at first with the hearing the terms. When we go to the answer, we shall see that they are very simple. Only terms are difficult. Kim Adhatmam. What is Adhatma? Kim Karma. What is karma? Is it Karma as we know it, any action, or it has got any other meaning. Adhibhutam kim proktam. What is adhibhutam? What is adhibhutam? And adhidaivam kim uchyate. What do you mean by that term adhidaivam? Then second question is adhiyagyaha katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kaleja katham geyosi niyotatmabhihi. Adhiyagya ka. What is adhiyagya? And then he adds something more. Not only he asks what is adhiyagya, he asks where is this adhiyagya reside? Where does this adhiyagya reside? And then eighth question is prayano kalecha katham geyosi niyato atmabhi. How a departing soul come to know you, or how a departing soul remember you at the time of the death. Because we know that even when everything is intact, how difficult it is to remember God all the time. But how at the time of death, when our organs are falling and our willpower is also not strong enough, how can one at that moment even remember you? And that we shall see in our next lecture or next talk. Sri Krishna not only speaks about how to remember God at the time of death, but what it takes and what it means to remember God at the time of death. So, these are the 8 questions put forward by Arjuna. And unlike us who have in our exams choices, answer only 5 among them, Sri Krishna does not have any choice. He has to answer all these 8 questions. So he goes on answering. We shall see only the 7 today. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Bhagavan said, Sri Krishna said, Aksharam Brahma Paramam Sabhava Adhatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavat Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Sangitaha. The first question was, what is Brahma? Sri Krishna says, Paramam Aksharam Brahma. Paramam Aksharam. Aksharam means imperishable. The word Shara. Shara means which perishes, which decays, which undergoes change. Akshara means which does not. Brahma is the one which does not change, the imperishable reality. And not only that, Paramam, that is ultimate, which is the ultimate reality which does not undergo change. That is this all-pervading consciousness, this Atma Tattva or Chaitanya, all-pervading consciousness which does not change. Everything else in this universe, according to Vedanta, and it is also our own experiences, undergoes changes. Our body, our mind and the world. But Brahman, the all-pervading consciousness, the ground of being, does not undergo any change. That is Brahman. And the word Brahma has come from the root Bri, means Brihatvat, that is, which is limitless, the vast, that is all-pervading consciousness, which is everywhere. That is Brahman. And this limitless entity, this Ananta, infinite reality is Brahman. And Sri Krishna does not elaborate further about Brahman because just in the 7th chapter, the chapter before, he spoke about Brahman when he mentioned his Paraprakriti. Paraprakriti. You remember 2 types of Prakritis were introduced in 7th chapter, the higher aspect of God and the lower nature of God. The higher aspect is called Para-prakriti, the transcendental aspect of God, and this immanent aspect of the God is called apara-prakriti, that is the inferior one. There, Sri Krishna spoke about para-prakriti from verse number 4 to 10. The one aspect of God, as it were, undergoes change and become this universe. And there is another aspect which does not undergo, which remains intact, which remains, as it were, the ground on which all this evolution, creation takes place. That is Brahman. Then the second question is Adhyatmam. What is Adhyatmam? This is very important because in Sanskrit, very often spirituality is referred to by the word Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika, that is spirituality. Adhyatma means what is spirituality. So what is Adhyatma? And here Sri Krishna says Sabhava Adhyatma Uchyate. So if that all-pervading consciousness, Brahman, is everywhere, it means it is also within us, within me, right? If it is everywhere, it is also in me. And in this body, within this body, the word Adhyatma is in fact the conjunction of two words, Adhi, Atma. Adhi means concerning, and Atma in this context means this physical being, this body. Okay. So concerning this physical body, the same all-pervading consciousness, when is referred to, related to this body, that is called Adhyatma. This is the beauty of Vedanta. Vedanta always speaks in terms of the micro angle and the macro angle, microcosm and the macrocosm. The main theme of Vedanta is what is inside us is outside. That is what Swami Vivekananda said in Himalayas, that in such a nice place called Kakri Ghat near Almora, I visited the place. So as a wandering monk, when one day he was sitting under a great banyan tree, I think, and at the bank of the flowing Alokananda river, wonderful, crystal clear, pure water, and that's become a pilgrimage now. So under sitting that tree, Swami Vivekananda was contemplating about different questions and big questions. And coming out of the meditation, he said to one of his brother disciples that today under this tree, one great mystery or question resolved. The question or the answer that I got is microcosm and macrocosm are built in the same plan. If you remember when we studied Aparaksha Anubhuti Vedanta, we saw that parallelly Vedanta speaks about parallel universe, that is one within us, how our different states of awakening or waking, sleeping and dreaming correspond to the waking, dreaming and sleeping state of this collective consciousness, Pragya Ishvara. Okay, so this is in technical terms called Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti means one individual being, Samashti is collectiveness. So the same all-pervading consciousness which does not perish, which is the support of everything, when spoken of as the collective aspect is called Brahman, and when it is related to our own body, it is Adhyatma or Atma. It is, they give the example, imagine in an ocean you have thrown a jar. So as soon as you throw the jar, water fills the jar. Okay. So in terms of water, what is in the ocean is also within the jar. Okay, but when we are referring to the jar, we are saying that water contained in the jar. So Vedanta says the same pure consciousness, when it is being expressed through this limited body mind, my own body, mind, sense organs, which is limited as such, within this limited me is that unlimited pure consciousness called Atma. And the goal is to realize Aham Brahmasmi. That is, the real me is nothing but that ultimate consciousness. That is the wonderful word Sri Krishna uses here, Sabhava. Sabhava means what is your true essence. Sabhava means nature. That is your, for example, the nature of this, say, microphone is to, say, relay or amplify my words. So when we say Sabhava means that is someone's intrinsic nature. Okay, if you remove all other non-essential things, the most essential part of any being or anything is called Sabhava. So that is very striking word, Sabhava Adhyatma Muchyate. That is, essentially, our true nature is Atma, and which is non-different from Brahma. Just spoken about, two different words are used, Atma and Brahma. Then what is karma? He says, Bhuta bhava udbhava karo visargaha. So visargaha means any deliberate activities. Any deliberate activities on our part is called visargaha. And the same activities which are result of bhuta bhava. Bhuta bhava means our future birth, and udbhava means our future existence. In other words, whatever deliberate actions we do, we take, that has effect in our future. In our future. And that is the law of karma. Law of karma. So according to this is the essence of law of karma. Whatever action we do, if it is a deliberate action, it always leaves three types of effects. Three types of effects. One is the very visible thing that we did. For example, I hurt you. I hurt you. So this is a very visible aspect. What I did, I hurt you. And the effect could be, you may hurt me back or you may choose not to. That is one thing. Second one effect of karma is the impressions of our deliberate actions that remain in our mind. Because every time we are doing something, we are leaving a vritti, an impression in our mind. And that way, if we have enough of one type of impressions, that becomes our habit, character. So in that way, that is also an effect. Any action that is living in our mind. Suppose I am telling lie now and then and without any purpose. There is no need. So what is happening here is gradually it is becoming my habit. Maybe these white lies are not doing any bad to anybody, but the effect is remaining in our mind is we are becoming more and more prone to tell lies. Then there is the third aspect of karma. This is very subtle. In Sanskrit it is called adrishva, that is invisible part. That is, this is a living, a karmic effect. Whatever action we are doing, which in future will come back to us. Okay. For example, I hurt you, you did not hurt me. So it ends there as it were. But no, since I hurt you, there is an invisible bad karma that is accumulating somewhere. And they may come back to me when they are accumulated enough, And then at that moment, we think, why it is happening to me? Why it is happening to me? Then we say karma. That is the time we say it's your karma. That is, you cannot really explain at this moment why it is happening to me, but maybe it is a cumulative effects of all those things you did and you even did not notice at that moment. They accumulated and came back to you, came after you. So, three aspects of karma. Sri Krishna says that not only our individual future, it is as it were every moment we are taking birth, and for that moment we are existing. So that was dependent upon what we did in the past. So the important takeaway from the law of karma is our future is in our hand. That is, if we do right thing at as more best as we can, we will create a better us in future. And the same karma, when seen from the collective aspect, samashti, macro angle, they say that each creation, Vedanta believes in cyclic creation. So each creation does not come from just blank. Each creation is resultant of the cumulative karmas of all the beings of the previous creation. So at that moment, at this moment in this universe, whatever cumulative karmas we are all doing, all of this cumulative karma have an effect, and that will decide the future creation. Okay, in collective macro angle, bhuta bhava uddhava kara visarga. Now, next verse where he answers 4 other questions. Adhibhutam sharo bhavaha purushasya adhidaivatam adhiyagyo ahme vatra dehe deha bhitam baraha. Adhibhutam. What is adhibhutam? That is sharo bhava. We just saw Akshara, Brahman, and imperishable. So, just opposite to that is this Sharo Bhava. Everything that is changing, everything that is perishable. That is the entire visible universe. In other terms, in the terms of 7th chapter, go ahead. The Apara Prakriti, the immanent aspect of God. Okay, these are all the immanent aspect of the creation is what they will be changing. There will be birth, growth, decay, and then exit. Apara Prakriti. So everything, all the elements and their permutations and combinations that go on to make all the things that is physical, including our physical body and even mind, which is a product of subtle elements. All these are adhibhutam, that is, which are changing, transforming, decaying, having constant changes, immanent aspect of the God. And if we remember 7th chapter, Sri Krishna say, this question comes to us, why it is called that the transcendental aspect of God is the higher nature and this immanent aspect of God the lower nature, right? Why do we say that? If the same God has the transcendental aspect and same God or Brahman, whatever consciousness has evolved into this creation, why one thing is higher, one thing is called is lower? So the thing is, this immanent aspect of God, this adhibhutam, this apara prakriti is so attractive to us. We are enamored by that. We forget the invisible God that is immanent in this creation. That's why in the beginning of a, in the life of a spiritual seeker. And that is that is what Vedanta says. In the beginning, try to go within. Try to realize that same consciousness within first. Then you will realize that this division that you first created, within and without, higher and lower, Atma and Anatma, these were fictitious. But these were necessary. Otherwise, you would have been caught in this visible universe only. Isha Upanishad says that what is the goal of spiritual life? Ishavashyam idam sarvam. That is, see this entire universe and try to see God in them. See God in them. But that is from a very high standpoint. When can we see God in everything? So the safest approach or the royal road is try to realize God within first. Then when you do that, you will see there is nothing called what is not consciousness, what is not God. So apara prakriti or lower nature is from this standpoint alone. Interestingly, I am reading, those who know Zen, 10 seasons of ox herding, 10 seasons of ox herding. The entire spiritual growth, spiritual life, journey of a seeker is shown in 10 pictures of ox herding, trying to catch the ox. A person is trying to catch ox. So at first he tries to see where the ox has gone. First he recognizes the ox is gone. Second, he looks for the tracks. Third, he gets a glimpse of the ox. Fourth, he rides on the ox or befriends the ox. And this way, at higher stages, and then they realize that the ox that I was searching is nothing by my own nature. And this searching, the ox that was searching and that I was searching through different tracks, its footsteps, that is, the footsteps there implies various spiritual paths, various spiritual texts. It was all fictitious because the ox were never lost. But they also mention, but at the beginning you have to seek the ox. You have to search for the ox, and at higher stages you will find the ox were never lost. This idea that I am seeking something means it is different from me. But ultimately we will come to know that it was never different from me. The ox were never lost, it was already there. So that is why apara prakriti, that this adhibhutam, if not, we are not conscientious enough, then we can get caught into it. Sri Krishna said in the 7th chapter that people usually get caught into this creation. They forget to seek what is behind this creation. What is behind this creation? That is adhibhutam. Then one very interesting thing, adhidaivam. What is adhidaivam? Sri Krishna says adhidaivam is purushaha. So purusha, we know the word purusha has got many meaning. One we saw in Aparakshanubhuti, Purishayanadva, one who resides in this body, right? Here Purusha is very technical, Hiranyagarbha. If you have heard the term, so Adhidaivam means Purusha, Purusha means Hiranyagarbha. Who is Hiranyagarbha? That is another technical term. Hiranyagarbha is the consciousness that is associated with collective mind. Okay, so Vedanta says that we have different types of bodies: physical body, subtle body, causal body. Right? This Physical body you understand, subtle body is easy to understand when we are dreaming. When we are dreaming, what part of our only mind is functioning? That is our subtle body. So for all practical purpose, we may say our mind with all its impressions, emotions, memories, cognition, that is our subtle body. The subtle body is again in Vedanta insentient. It is also adhibhutam, and is powered by what? The Chaitanya. Consciousness behind it is what is making the mind move. So each of us has this subtle body. And again, from macro standpoint, this entire creation has a subtle body, right? The cosmic mind. Consciousness associated with this collective mind is called Hiranyagarbha or Adhidaivam. That is, for all practical purposes, we may say that there is a cosmic mind, which is not simply the summations of all our minds, but it is greater. The whole is greater than its summations. So there is a cosmic mind which not only encompasses our own minds, but it has its own mind too. And the consciousness that is associated with this cosmic mind, this is called Hiranyagarbha, that is Adhidaivam. What is the point of telling all those things? Let us not forget that Sri Krishna says a devotee ultimately realizes all those things. Realizes. We are now only learning it theoretically, that there is a cosmic mind and other things like there is Atma, there is Brahman. But a devotee who seeks the highest, who loves God, whether with form or formless God, ultimately realizes them. That is, it becomes crystal clear to that seeker that there is a cosmic mind. And all those things, cosmic mind or this creation, Adhibhutam, Adhyatmam, Brahma, Karma, all of these are nothing. Together is God's in totality. So that a devotee come to know. Then the sixth question is related to the term Adhiyagya. Adhiyagya kim? So Sri Krishna says, what is this Adhiyagya? Sri Krishna says it is Ahameva, I am Adhiyagya. That is, I am means here Sri Krishna, the consciousness, the collective consciousness associated with our collective causal body. What is causal body? When we are in deep sleep, when our mind even is not functioning, when we are existing in a potential form, that is our Karana Sharira or causal body. Similarly, from macro perspective, from macro angle, entire creation, before there was creation, between two creations, where creation remains in a seed form or in equilibrium, that is in potential form, that is called the Karana Sharira of the entire creation, entire existence. And at that time, that same consciousness who remains in potential form, who is going to initiate this creation, is called Ishvara in Vedantic terminology. God who, that is the same Brahman when seen as creator, is called Ishvara. So God, Sri Krishna is representing here Ishvara, I am Sri Krishna. And next one is more important. Arjuna asks, where does this God reside? And the answer is equally startling. Where can I find God? That is Arjuna's question. Sri Krishna answers, Atra Dehe, in your body. that is in every body. Wonderful concept. God is in each of us, in the heart of each of us. In 10th chapter, in 18th chapter, Sri Krishna would say, Aham Atma Gura Kesha Sarva Bhuta Shayostitah. Arjuna, I am at the heart of every being. I reside in the heart of every being. In 18th chapter, he will say towards the end, Ishara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Ishara, God, same God who is behind this creation. That is, same God reside in the heart of everybody. How? As Atma, as Adhatma. Essentially, Ishara and God essentially is Brahman, the all-pervading consciousness. The same all-pervading consciousness, when is doing as such different things, we are calling by different name. Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat. But essentially it is the same all-pervading Chaitanya Tattva, which is also the essence of us, which is at the core of us. So that's how Ishvara resides in each of us. Interestingly, the word you might have heard, Narayana, right? You have heard. The meaning of the word Narayana is also equally wonderful. Nara means all beings, and Ayana means residence. One who resides in every being. That is the meaning of the word Narayana. So, where to seek God? Within. Within. That is, the same God is in each of us. So, to summarize this today's talk, Sri Krishna says that a Nishkama Bhakta who seeks God for God's sake, who aims for the infinite goal, they will get to know 6 things. All the things that are worth knowing. That is, knowing here means realizing without any doubt. Until we realize, there will be always some doubts about these topics, these themes. There will be always questions. But once we realize, they will become crystal clear. What are the 6 things? What is Brahma? That is, in other terms, we may say, what is my goal? Where we are going? That the all-pervading consciousness principle. To realize our oneness with that is our goal. That was the question, what is Brahma? Second was, what is Adhatma? That is, who am I? What is my true nature? Sri Krishna says, your Svabhava, your true nature, every one of us, our true nature is that same all-pervading consciousness is within each of us. What is karma? Karma is whatever deliberate actions we do which make our future. That is karma, which also is responsible for creation. That is creation in individual level or creation in collective level. What is Adhibhutam? This manifested universe. Anything, all those changing things. So, what is this world? It will be clear as daylight. The question is, if when Sri Krishna says that the devotee will come to know the entire creation, what does it mean? Will everything of this universe, creation, will flash before the devotee? No. The devotee will know, in essence, the existence, entire creation, visible universe is nothing but God's part alone, God, immanent part of God, which is undergoing changes. It will become crystal clear to the devotee. They want to know each and every created item. Okay, but they will essentially know what is the real nature of this visible universe. What is Adhidaiva? What is Adhidaiva? It is cosmic mind. What is Adhiyagya? Ishvara, the potential form of universe, where the creation remains in seed form. That is the conventional way we refer to as God. Ishvara, one who created. Ultimately, it is this pure consciousness from which, when we see that pure consciousness as an agent, as an initiator of creation, we call that same pure consciousness as God. And where to seek that God? In your own heart. That is where God resides. And that is the goal of not only Bhagavad Gita, all the Upanishads, entire Vedanta can be summarized in these three words: Aham Brahmasmi. I am essentially that same all-pervading consciousness. So we see that answering these 7 questions, Sri Krishna answers most of our fundamental questions and also revises the main themes or concepts of Vedanta. And this, all the answers he does in 2 verses. First 2 verses of 8th chapter was Sri Krishna's Arjuna's question, and he answers 7 questions in 2 verses, verse 3 and verse 4. And the 8th question, how to remember God at the time of death, for that question he dedicates, in fact, the entire chapter. Okay, 24 verses. So that is, if these were 7 big questions, the question how to remember God at the time of death is the $1 million question. So that will be the subject of my talk, next talk, the $1 million question, where Sri Krishna would try to answer how to remember God at the time of death, how to do that, and what is the significance of that. That we shall see later on. So we shall now chant the closing chant together and read out the English part together. After that, if you have any question, comment, please, you are welcome to do that. And after that, we shall hear Philip playing lute, and the free will offering box is outside. So let's do the closing chant together. Om Madhubata Ritayate Madhukshananti Sindhavaha Madhirna Santoshadhihi Madhunaktam Utasasi Madhumat Parthivam Rajaha Madhudvau Astuna Pita Madhumano Vanaspati Madhumagam Astu Suryaha Madhir Gabo Bhavantunaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sweet blow the winds, and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace. Any question? Comments? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. Why does God make it so hard to find God within?
Why God makes us so hard to find God within? No, it is not so hard actually. It's not actually hard. This is, in fact, this is the question of all questions. So if God is inside the heart, why we are not finding? Okay. This question, frankly speaking, can be, many answers can be given from different theological perspectives. But frankly speaking, there is no answer to this. This is in Advaita is called Maya. Maya means not illusion. Maya means it is a strange thing which defies our rationale. Okay. There is no answer to that. Sri Ramakrishna would say that God wants that the play goes on. Okay, the play, that is, this creation is a play. And if we realize who we are, probably creation won't go further. So let the play go on. So, and some of us, fortunate ones, probably try to finds that there is an ox to find and go for herding the ox. Okay. Okay, thank you. Please.